Can you shut the door, please? Hey, Dan and Nikki. It's January the 15th. And yesterday was my brother Greg's birthday, and tomorrow is Bill Selset's birthday. Bill, if you happen to be watching this for whatever reason, happy birthday. Dan, I just watched your video. Essentially, that was the first video you made. I've got a whole bunch more to watch, so bear with me. Um, uh, like I said, I'm assuming you're in Palm Springs or Palm Desert. I can't figure out where the lens is on this and where I'm supposed to look. I guess over here, right? Okay. Um, anyway, I'm working on the where am I part of it, but I felt that I needed to respond to your responses. Um, were you watching soccer when you watched that video initially? Because I think that um, there are several things in there that I want to correct. Um, and then also just to comment on the where am I part when I said guess where I am. You you recognize that as a joke. I hope I wasn't really serious as to where I was because I figured that was self-evident. Anyway, um, the straight razor. Yeah, I think you're going to be hard pressed to find a hairdresser giving a straight razor shave. So I think you're going to have to find not necessarily an old curmudgeonly barber, but um, but a, a traditional barber. How about that? There's actually a really great video on YouTube, as you can probably imagine. There's lots of videos. But if you search for straight razor shave and look for the one with Oscar, the New York barber, that's actually a really good video. Um, and the reason I suggested a straight razor shave, Dan, not to be anachronistic, but because you have a more sensitive face, and um, disposable razors are really are terrible. I mean, they're cheap, they don't last very long. Um, and I think that you could probably get a closer shave with less irritation with a straight razor than you could ever get with with a disposable razor or an electric razor. If I don't know if you still use an electric razor. Um, but I don't shave very often. But I don't know. I think for me, it's not so much the sensitivity of the face, but it's the fact that I can never get, I mean, even with my face, a very close shave. And so in that video, it's great because he talks about shaving. Essentially, he does two shaves. One is the initial, and then one is what would be the second one called? What's not tertiary, secondary, the secondary shave. Um, and to really, so one is shaving down and one is shaving back up against the grain. So, and then there's a couple of websites with supplies. One is straightrazor.com. Don't go to straightrazors.com. I didn't like that website. It was very hard to navigate through. I mean, you can go there, of course, but I found it difficult. Yeah, I'm actually thinking of getting one. So if I do, of course, I'll make a Carew cutting his face at the first time video, and I will duly post that. Um, you talked about your moccasins when you went into that small business in Pendleton. That was actually really funny. Part of me likes those businesses because I like to go in and I don't feel like I have to have, you know, butt kissing service or effusive service to feel like I have good service, because really what I want is I want somebody to figure out to figure out what my problem is or whatever it is I need and give it to me. That's all I ask. And so um, a place like that who, hopefully they'll do quality work as well. Um, those are nice places. Those are really, really nice places. Um, and it'll probably be reasonably charged. Of course, you have no idea what it's going to cost you until you pick them up. Of course, you don't know when you're going to pick them up either. But I'm assuming that he assumes you know where to find him, which is why all he needs to do is take your name. And so hopefully it works out well. Let me know how that comes out. I want to see the end product. Those rock formations you guys were climbing on in the video, those are really, really cool formations. Any idea what kind of rock that was? Or what formed it, or how that formed? So I would be interested to know. The geologist in me wants to know. And if I can't figure it out, I'm going to go take it to Jen and have her help me figure it out. Of course, she didn't really help me with that impact crater, though, did she? So, and I'm not talking about the one in the mountains where you were camping. I'm talking about the one a long time ago that I couldn't figure out. Maybe that wasn't an impact crater. Maybe that was actually was it an impact crater or was it a volcano? Anyway. Sandal. No, I think you misunderstood me about the sandals. I don't recommend wearing big wool socks. I think I said, I mean, if you need to, you can wear them, but I don't recommend socks at all. I go sockless. And yes, I did wear sandals with no socks all the way through the polar vortex and back out the other side again. I did put on socks the morning it was minus 25. But other than that, I just went without. I found that what I find is that, yeah, I mean, it's not like we spend a lot of time outside. When you walk, that's different. Maybe if you were out walking with just sandals, your feet would get cold if you weren't wearing socks. The biggest problem with the Birkenstocks that I noticed is I went out to a cross-country ski meet with just my sandals on with no socks. That was fine. I mean, my feet felt fine, but the problem was when I stood on the snow for a half an hour, the cold ended up radiating up through the sandals, and then my feet got really, really cold and numb. I mean, no more cold and numb than they do when I swim, but nonetheless, they did get cold on that. But if I'm going from the house to the car, from the car to work, and even if I'm out shoveling for a little bit, I would much rather go without socks and sandals, because I'm so much more comfortable inside, and I don't mind my feet being a little cold when I'm out. So, how did the job interview go? I did want to come up with a top 10 list of demands for you for the job. So if you need me to negotiate, I think the number one benefit that I think you need is a accompanying singer or instrumentalist available at all times, so that if you want to break out in song or music, then you have somebody to play with you. So I think that would be number one on the list. So tell them you need that. Football. Yeah, of course you're right. Bobby Bowden is no longer with FSU. And there's a lot of people there that I'm sure are perfectly nice people. So think about those guys. Don't think about Bobby Bowden. Bobby Bowden will give anybody indigestion. But speaking of that, my theory about, or what I'm trying to do when I watch games. But I tell you that that system broke down when I watched the San Francisco Carolina game. Not that Carolina deserved to win that game. I mean, they didn't play very well. They played, in fact, quite poorly. The biggest issue was that Kaepernick and Harbaugh, and I can't remember the receiver's name, Anquan Bolden, have such terrible attitudes. And I don't like to watch anybody even doing a touchdown dance. That kind of bugs me. But I mean, they really, oh man, Harbaugh especially was just. It's hard to watch him and then watch his team win and feel good about that. It's a game, right? What does it mean Ultimately, it means squat. A Super Bowl win means squat. Um, but um, but it's still, you just want the nice guys to win. You want Peyton Manning to win, right? But although I'm sure there's plenty of people who don't think he's a nice guy at all. So I guess we can't all have our way. Um, but I'm looking forward to the games this weekend. The Seattle San Francisco game, I will probably end up watching that one by myself, because what I find is by myself I can show no emotion and not get bothered by it. But what I have to do is I have to prepare myself for, okay, what happens if San Francisco wins? And, what's the worst case scenario? They go on and win the Super Bowl. And honestly, I know that an hour after the Super Bowl's over, it won't matter anymore. I mean, even if Seattle wins it, it won't matter anymore. It's like, you know how it is, that empty feeling of, you know, post coital bowl. I don't know. Anyway, um, enough about football, I guess. Songs that you should cover. Again, I was kidding about Billy Ocean. You did know that, right? And you got the title wrong, Dan. It's not "Get Out of My Car and Into My Dreams." It's "Get Out of My Dreams, Get Into My Car." Um, you don't remember that song? I mean, surely I know you remember that song, but I'm surprised you don't remember the Debbie Gibson song, "Shake Your Love." Um, and I don't know why I remember it. I think it's like that time that I sat on that rebar accidentally. There's some things you just can't forget. Um, but actually, so I actually do have a song that I want you to cover, because Billy Ocean's not right for you. You don't have that whole Caribbean thing going for you. And I would really like to see you cover Chris Isaak's "Baby Did a Bad Thing," um, or is it "Baby Did a Bad Bad Thing"? Anyway, maybe it's just "Bad Thing." I think that's actually the title, is "Bad Thing." Anyway, I think that in that song he doesn't tend to get up in that really high register, um, and I think that you could cover that song great. So, because I think you've got a great voice, a very strong voice for that song. So that one I would love to see you cover. Um, I have no recollection whatsoever of saying "fiendish bacon." I think maybe. Are you sure you didn't mishear me? Maybe I said "fiendish bacon." I don't recall saying "fiendish bacon," but um, I don't know. I'm not sure that taking. This is like Mad Libs of band names. It's like all contemporary bands are named with Mad Libs, where you've got a 10-year-old girl who says, "Give me an adjective." Okay, now give me a noun, and there's your band name. So, band names used to be what? Johnny Cash and his band. Um, I guess there was Buddy Holly and the Crickets. Um, the Beatles, I don't know where the hell that came from. Um, so, I don't know. Um, I was not mocking Nikki's love for her grandmother. You completely misunderstood that. I was gently remonstrating her for being freaked out about the possibility of her grandmother dying. It has nothing to do with her grandmother loving her grandmother. It's fearing her grandmother dying and having to deal with it herself if her parents were out of town. Um, I actually, unfortunately have some firsthand experience with that. And if it's your 90-year-old grandmother, it can't be that bad, honestly. Um, so consider it an honor. Consider it something that, it's. I think that we should be a part of the death of our loved ones, because um, I don't know. I think it's important. So that was my point. I wasn't mocking. Um, and governor canceling school, no, I wasn't upset about it. I didn't think that was stupid at all. Actually, my point is I thought it was really cool. that it was so cold here that the governor had to issue an edict to cancel school statewide. I thought that was awesome. How often does that happen? Like I said, it's like martial law. It's like, you shall not go to school. Um, no, I just think there was nothing libertarian about my response at all. I thought it was great that it was such that he had to tell everyone to cancel school. I Yeah, I did. I thought it was great. Um, Today I had an interesting experience I wanted to share. It's more of a commentary on technology, I guess. Preston and I were at Midtown Foods, which is our local grocery store downtown. And we were in a part of the parking lot where there's not a lot of people parking because, I like to maximize the exposure of my feet to the cold weather. By the way, it's 10 degrees. Not cold at all. Doesn't feel cold after minus 25. Um, and we got a lot of snow yesterday. We're going to get a lot of snow tomorrow. In fact, they have what they're calling life-threatening blizzards in western Minnesota, which again, that's kind of cool. I love the sound of that. Anyway, um, so as we were coming back into the car, something caught my eye, and I turned and looked, and it was a cell phone. It had a kind of rubbery cover. Um, it actually had a cover that looked like a Gonzaga bulldog on it, and it wasn't a Georgia bulldog because the colors weren't right. I don't know what Gonzaga's colors are, but anyway, this cover happened to be blue. And I turned it over, and it was an older style iPhone, and I tried to turn it on, and all it did, the screen flashed, really low battery. So that it couldn't even come on at all, and it felt really, really cold. So I'm guessing it had been out there for a few hours, um, and but nobody had run it over, so that's something. And I thought about turning it into the store, but I know that from working in law enforcement, things get thrown into a basket. They rarely find their way back to the owner. So I took it home, and I have a big basket full of old cords that I, keep from all the various electronics in our lives. And I had a cord that fit this iPhone. It was one of the wider, really wide ones. And actually, I was out grilling hot dogs because we're having chili cheese dogs tonight for dinner because Beth was in class, and Duncan is staying over the night because he works early at Mugby tomorrow, and and uh, and so Preston had plugged it in, and then he came and got me. He said, "Hey, it's ringing." So I come up and look at it, and what it said was, "Help! I am lost. If you find me, please call this number." And it had a number, and it had sort of like I said, it was on the intro screen to the phone, and so literally you could swipe the number, and it called that phone number, and I thought that was pretty cool, and actually, the person who it belonged to was a guy named Angelo, who is one of the fitness instructors down at the Y, and I don't know him real well, but I knew him enough to when I told him my name was Carew, he said, "Oh, hey, this is Angelo with the Y." So it was his phone, and he said, "Well, I'm looking right now online. I can see you're somewhere near Homer Road, which is just the next road up." So, he was looking at the GPS signal. So I thought that was, I'm sure the NSA is thrilled with that technology, but I thought that was kind of cool that he was able to go online and enter a phone number for the finder to call when they found the phone. So I thought that was very handy. But I also was wondering, if I were, perhaps nefarious bacon, a nefarious fiendish bacon kind of a guy, and I wasn't going to call that number and turn that phone in, he could have seen where it was. Does that mean he would eventually showed up at the door, banging on the door, asking for his cell phone back? I could see potential for a lawsuit there because somebody's going to end up getting hurt over that. Um, anyway, I know you're back from your trip, and again, I am anxious to find out how your job interview went. And I think that's all I've got. So I got the picture with the mittens, and that's okay. You don't have to buy them. Picture's good enough. And I mean, I don't wear shoes. Why should I wear gloves, right? Um, Actually, Duncan brought me a pair of handmade mittens from Norway, which are, great. They remind me of, I don't know if you remember Jan Brett. She writes children's books, often with a Scandinavian theme. And she has one about the girl in the book who loses her mitten, and all these animals take up residence in it, and it stretches and stretches and stretches and stretches. Um, anyway, it reminds me of that book. So I think on that note, I'm going to go read The Hobbit to my daughter, and then I'm going to go to bed because I'm swimming bright and early. Not 10,000 yards, but maybe 3,000. And I hope both of you are well. Continue to be well. I look forward to getting a video from you, Dan, and you, Nikki, next December. Nikki, for you next December. And go USA.